Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of death. Amen.
And the Word was made flesh,
and dwelt amongst us.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of death. Amen.
Pray for us, O Holy Mother of God,
that we may be made worthy of the promises of Christ. Pour forth, we beseech you, O Lord, your grace into our hearts, that we, to whom the incarnation of Christ, your Son, was made known by the message of an angel, may by his passion and cross be brought to the glory of his resurrection, through the same Christ our Lord. Amen.
Kini ang simbianan sa RPN Radio Philippines Network DXKS DXKS 1080 ang inyong Radio Ronda 5,000 watts nagsimbiya sa ikatulong andana sa UFCO Lim Building, Borromeo Street, Dakbayan sa Surigao. RPN Radio Philippines Network DXKS 1080 ang inyong Radio Ronda.
This is Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines. I'm Pia Ontiveros. Tonight on the program, first, it was the spike in fuel prices. Now consumers are facing tight supply of chicken products. An interagency task force resolution versus what is now a local law in Cebu. National and local officials insist on conflicting policies on the use of face masks amid an uptick in COVID-19 cases. And 4 days apparently are not enough. American pop rock band Laney will hold another night of concert for fans here in Manila. Apart from costly fuel, consumers have another thing to worry about, as chicken products have not been spared from what the Agriculture Department calls a looming food crisis. Prices are up and supply is tight in public markets and even in some restaurants. More from our Melissa Lopez.
Prices of chicken and other fresh produce are on the rise as well, also reeling from surging fuel costs. At the Mega Q-Mart in Quezon City, dressed chicken now sells for 200 pesos. A kilo of chicken wings and drumstick retails for 210 pesos a kilo for the past 2 weeks now. The price last year was 170 pesos. Supply is limited, and one vendor notes chickens are smaller than usual. Already, several restaurants are taking the hit. Chicken is expensive and hard to come by, forcing some stores known for chicken wings to remove these from the menu.
Items that use a lot of flour or restaurants that use a lot of flour, they're forced to raise prices or reduce portions. And one of them is chicken.
An industry group says local production is held back not just by surging fuel prices, but by factors dating back to COVID-19 lockdowns.
Siguro on average, ang na-reduce sa local volume ng production, mga 30%. Mahal yung feed, nababago yung formulation, kaya mahirap lalo magpalaki ng manok. Lalong natakot yung marami sa amin na mag-alaga at kasi ang laki ng puhunan mo ngayon, paano kung nalugi ka?
The United Broiler Raisers Association members say they have not returned to their pre-pandemic chicken production following the influx of imports and low demand. But now that economic activity has recovered, they can't keep up. In Mandaue City and Cebu and parts of Abra, chicken vendors had to close their stalls as they could not get stocks. But the Agriculture Department denies there's a chicken shortage.
I would not qualify it as shortage. Compounded ma'am ito na problema na ito. But let's give our local producers a chance, no? Na itong supply and demand equation natin ay mag-auto-correct. Bigyan natin ng isang cycle. So that would amount to about 30, so 60 days.
The DA says they are not discussing additional chicken imports so far. saying that thin supply in Cebu is likely due to a ban imposed by the local government to prevent the spread of bird flu among poultry.
Yung kasalanan ng DA, ang nagbabayad ang buong Pilipinas. Di ba? Dahil dun sa kanilang policies na yan, lumiit ang local production. Eto ngayon na nangyayari sa atin.
Poultry raisers believe chicken prices may keep rising in the weeks ahead. Melissa Lopez, CNN Philippines.
Restaurants group Resto PH also notes that some establishments are grappling with short supply and high cost of flour, potatoes, and even beef, while poultry raisers foresee a possible shortage in eggs later this year. Vegetable prices also on the rise with big increases seen for eggplants, ampalaya, and pechay. On your screens, the current prices from Mega Q Mart in Quezon City. Motorists are digging deeper into their pockets as the new round of fuel price hikes takes effect today. That is more than 4 pesos per liter for diesel, 2 pesos and 15 centavos a liter for gasoline, and nearly 5 pesos a liter for kerosene. But in Boracay, the new round of increases pushes diesel prices to nearly 100 pesos a liter. Locals are also seeing almost 97 pesos per liter for gasoline. Local authorities earlier explained fuel is more expensive on the island because of transport costs. Amid soaring fuel prices, outgoing Transport Chief Art Tugade not ruling out the possibility of new fare hikes, but he says the government has to balance the relief for drivers and operators while still considering its possible burden on commuters.
Mahirap sumagot ng posibilidad. Sir, posibilidad ng magtaas ng presyo kasi posibilidad tataas. Let's discuss that when it comes.
Authorities have yet to hear the fare increase petitions from jeepneys, taxis, and transport and network vehicle services providers. A tug of war on the face mask mandate between Malacanang and the Cebu provincial government. The palace maintains IATF rules will prevail over LGU executive orders. The Interior Department has instructed the police to carry out existing resolutions from the cabinet-led pandemic task force. But just this afternoon, the Cebu provincial government institutionalized the policy on optional face masks outdoors. Well, let's get the details from our Cebu-based correspondent Dale Israel. Dale, what can you tell us?
Gabi, Pia, it's official. The Cebu Provincial Board unanimously approved a local ordinance which basically adopts the much talked about executive order of Governor Gwen Garcia. That EO aims to rationalize the wearing of face masks in the province. Now, a special session was conducted by the board to cover the approval of the ordinance authored by board member John Ismael Borgonia. Garcia called for a special session today after the board failed to approve the ordinance on its regular sessions on Monday due to lack of quorum. She also certified the measure as urgent. It was smooth sailing for the measure, which passed without any objections. The discussions and approval lasted, less than 30 minutes. Under the new ordinance, wearing a face mask will only be required inside enclosed or air-conditioned spaces or in crowded places. Residents exhibiting COVID-19 symptoms are also required to wear one. Wearing a mask will also be optional outdoors and in well-ventilated areas. According to Borgonia, there will no longer be any basis for the police to arrest people not wearing masks because of the new ordinance. If there are challenges to the validity of the ordinance, he said, it will only be done in the proper court. Now, the board member also said the new ordinance will be effective upon signing by Governor Garcia and 15 days after publication in a newspaper of general circulation. Back to you, Pia.
Dale, the Cebu Provincial Police Chief was relieved. What do you know about that?
Pia, Police Colonel Engelbert Soriano was relieved as director of the Cebu Provincial Police Office effective June 12. Accordingly, his relief is, quote, pursuant to a PNP memorandum circular, which states that the said post can be held by the said rank for a year, extension of which is subject to the approval of the PNP chief. He has held the post for more than a year already. It was also said that it is, quote, for career advancement. The development comes after Garcia insisted that there will be no apprehensions on the face mask rules. Back to you, Pia.
Dale Israel there reporting from Cebu. Slow recovery for the country's tourism industry, which is still lagging behind globally. A United Kingdom-based study finds the Philippines is the 7th worst nation in jump-starting tourism growth. As of 2021, the country only had 2.4% of its 8.3 million visitors in 2019. The top 3 tourism economies struggling to bounce back from the pandemic are neighbors, Hong Kong, Japan, and China, while Bahrain, Albania, and Dominican Republic lead countries in reviving tourism. The Education Department helping young learners get back on track amid the pandemic. The Brigada Pagbasa, an offshoot of the DepEd's Brigada Eskwela, will help early grade learners as they transition to face-to-face classes. Volunteers, including retired teachers, will teach pupils aged 5 to 9 in beginner subjects like English and math. The DepEd partnered with the United States Agency for International Development, or USAID, and other private agencies for the project.
Wala pang budget for this specifically for the activities that I have mentioned. We have we launched this prior to the pandemic. Unfortunately, COVID happened. Kaya po yung disenyo po nito na magkaroon po sana ng mga volunteers tayo from the private sectors na pwede pong tumulong after school setup. Mga bata na hindi gaanong marunong magbasa.
We believe that raising the next generation of leaders begins with raising good readers in the early years. And this endeavor involves not just the schools, but also the leaders in the community.
The DepEd hopes to start the program by next school year, pending approval from Vice President-elect and Education Secretary-designate Sara Duterte. The country has seen an uptick in COVID-19 cases in recent weeks, with infections rising faster here in Metro Manila. The Okta Research Group projects cases in the capital region could reach up to 500 by the end of the month. Straight ahead, the development in the case of the SUV that rammed a security guard or ran over a security guard in Mandaluyong City. The Justice Department issues an immigration lookout order against the car owner. While this pop rock band seems to love its Filipino fans so bad, Lainey announces a 5th night for its comeback concert in Manila. More when we return.
Handa na para sa pinaka-espesyal kong pasahero.
Tay, tara na.
Natatandaan ko pa ng mga panahong naghihirap kami. Ito na kami ngayon. Buti na lang palaging nandyan si tatay para suportahan ako.
Tay, nagawa na natin.
Dahil sa pagsisikap at tiwala sa Diyos, naging matagumpay ang ating pagtatapos.
Ang mabuting balita ay hatid sa inyo ng MX3.
Fried chicken? Timplang happy! With easy-to-cook Magnolia Chicken Timplados. Iba't ibang sarap ng chicken, kaya. Anong Magnolia Chicken Timplados mo? Iba't ibang easy chicken sarap.
Gintong dagat ang pagitan. San Miguel, Pale Pilsen ang nasa pagitan. Laging nasa pagitan na San Miguel, Pale Pilsen. Sarap laging kasama.
Land Bank has always believed that in this country, we have to dream big. And so we learned to build something out of nothing, improving the quality of life for our people so that we can keep in step with a brave new world and make our big dreams come true.
Now it's time to live the life. Let's have San Mig Life with the sun out. Any hour is now happy hour. Ang katapusan ng bawat kwento, may inuumpisa ang bago. Get into the life.
San Mig Light.
We have the power to protect Mother Earth, keeping it cleaner and greener, to preserve our one and only home. Powering the good life. Meralco.
You're watching CNN Philippines. The Justice Department issues an immigration lookout order against the SUV driver who ran over a security guard in Mandaluyong earlier this month. But the lookout order will not prevent the driver, Jose Antonio San Vicente, from leaving the Philippines. Authorities will only be alerted. Justice Secretary Manado Guevara says San Vicente has no departure record after the incident last June 5. Guevara adds whole departure order could be issued depending on the preliminary investigation. San Vicente faces charges of frustrated murder and abandoning a person in danger. Today marks World Blood Donor Day. The World Health Organization is urging people around the globe to donate blood as an act of solidarity. Tristan Odalo gives us a closer look at how the COVID-19 pandemic affected blood donations in the country.
It's a race against time for the 70-year-old mother of Charina Padeles, who is currently hospitalized and needs an immediate blood transfusion.
Kailangan po ngayon kasi naka life support na machine. So yun, need ko po talaga. Siyempre po, ayoko din kasi mawala nanay ko. Kaya lahat gagawin ko.
Charina was relieved after finding out that the type of blood her mother needs is available at the Philippine Red Cross Blood Center.
Masaya po ako kasi masasalina na po nanay ko ng dugo. Doon sa mga nagdo-donate, nagpapasalamat din po ako kasi kung hindi dahil din po sa kanila, siguro ngayon po napakahirap po maghanap.
The story of Charina and her mother is a common tale in the center, but the daunting task of providing the life-saving blood became more challenging in the last 2 years.
There was a reduce in the number of blood donations, specifically because of yung mga COVID restrictions natin. So what are those COVID restrictions natin? Yun yung mga lockdowns, yung ating mga virtual online schooling, and then the work from home arrangement. And of course, for those who would want to donate na may active infections or even those who were exposed to COVID-19 infections.
A Red Cross official says the demand for blood is slowly increasing due to the uptick in cases in diseases like dengue. Dr. Cristina Lupta says they need more blood donors, but COVID-19 protocols are also being followed.
We would want to encourage yung regular blood donation, a donation every 3 months period.
The country needs at least 2,500 blood units daily. One blood unit can save a number of lives.
The maximum number of patients that can access to one blood unit is about 4 patients. No, we can process this and separate this into component like the red cell, the platelet, plasma, and the cryoprecipitate.
The World Health Organization says that the need for blood is universal, but access to it is not. Blood is essential for patients to survive surgeries, cancer treatment, traumatic injuries, and those with chronic illnesses. That is why blood donation is crucial to make sure that it is available whenever or wherever it is needed. Tristan Odalo, CNN Philippines.
For those who'd like to donate blood, you can visit the National Blood Center in Mandaluyong City or approach your local Red Cross chapter. A healthy individual aged 16 to 65 years old can donate blood every 3 months. Other world updates: while the United States prepares to vaccinate the youngest age group, experts find the 3-shot Pfizer vaccine is safe for children under 5 years old. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration says the doses provide an immune response similar to older people. Vaccine advisors will meet on Wednesday to determine if Pfizer should be given an emergency use authorization. The World Health Organization, meanwhile, is looking at renaming monkeypox. Scientists say the name monkeypox is discriminatory and stigmatizing since it still references the virus's African roots, even if it has already spread across nations. They also note the current strain is likely not the original one transmitted from animals. Monkeypox has infected over 1,500 people in at least 47 countries. Back here at home, how can we build safe spaces for the LGBTQ plus community? Some organizations are working together to make that happen. Stanley Gahete has the details.
The Nayong Pilipino is aiming to gather pertinent data from different sectors, particularly and ensure a symbolically secured place for everyone. In a forum called Umpukan sa Nayon, Members have tackled issues concerning the LGBTQIA+, including how they should be properly treated with dignity and respect.
All across the different government agencies, natatangi ang issue ng mga LGBTQIA as one of those that's always left behind.
The forum is serving as a framework for an envisioned park in Nayong Pilipino that will stand for the safe space, embracing everyone in the community.
This is the first time na we partnered with LGBT organization. May mga ideas po na sinabi doon, dapat gender sensitive, no? Yung community mismo.
Nayong Filipino employees will also be trained to be more open-minded and embracing when dealing with gender-sensitive issues.
Kami po sa Nayong Filipino, we have the Cultural Leadership Institute. Kami muna alam namin, bago po namin maibigay po sa iba.
The National Library, meanwhile, has started researching on different concepts in Philippine history and literature that have LGBTQIA+ contexts.
Baka ang dapat natin natignan is ano yung ginagamit na terminology nung lumang panahon? Kasi ang ating terminology ngayon na ginagamit ay bago.
Participants believe that creating a safe space park and a library research index of history and literature on LGBTQIA+ could create a huge impact in today's society.
Isa po itong napakagandang talakayan kung saan nabuksan yung karapatan talaga ng bawat gender. Meron po tayong social norms na pinapataw sa bawat gender. Ito po yung dapat natin nababasag.
Stanley Gaete, CNN Philippines.
Vice President-elect Sara Duterte is all set to take the helm of the Education Department. The DepEd said it has already prepared a transition team for its new secretary, made up of the sitting Chief of Staff and undersecretaries. Undersecretary Tonicito Umali did not disclose the date and venue of the meeting, but he said Duterte will continue to engage the services of outgoing DepEd Chief Leonor Briones. Sara Duterte will take her oath as the 15th Vice President of the Philippines in the city of Davao this Sunday, June 19th. We will bring you the inauguration as it happens live. Also, catch her pre-oath taking special with our senior anchor Rico Hizon at 3 p.m. onwards this Sunday. And don't miss our documentary, Inday Sara, the Vice President, only here on CNN Philippines. Senator-elect Robin Padilla gets a separate briefing from the Senate Legislative Department upon his request. Padilla says he's ready for the job after a 3-day program where he was briefed on economic and foreign affairs and the legislature. He says he will continue to speak in Filipino in debates. Padilla's first order of business will be to file a charter change bill, adding he will invite outgoing Senators Frank Drilon and Kiko Pangilinan to the hearings. The senator-elect also supports death penalty for heinous crimes.
Hindi naman ako naniniwala na yung 26 million na bumoto sa akin dahil si Robin Padilla ko. Sino ba si Robin Padilla? Ex-convict, babaero. Lahat na ng negative eh. Lahat ng negative nasa akin na para hindi mo ako iboto. Pero bakit mo ako binoto? Kasi naniniwala sila sa federalism. Naniniwala sila sa
The first-time senator earlier expressed interest in heading the Constitutional Amendments Committee. Padilla topped the senatorial race with over 26 million votes. More stories when we come back. The Golden State Warriors one win away from the NBA championship after taking the final series lead for the first time. Plus, not just a second chance, but rather a fifth one for Lady fans to see the band live here in Manila. We tell you about the added concert date next on Newsnight.
How much do I know about my dad? I'm not sure.
So what distinct trait did you get from your dad?
Yeah. Did you use the carbon copy of my dad?
No. I would say persistence. Dad kasi has this thing when he makes a joke. If someone doesn't laugh with him, he'll repeat the joke or do another joke until he gets one laugh and he goes, okay,
Or at least a
okay na
giggle.
ako.
I'm pretty sure that I got my dad's temper. Everything that we do, whether it's at work or it's at home, we usually feel very strongly about it. So when something goes against that order, yeah, we all of a sudden turn into this lawyer.
What is the best gift you received from your dad? Yan. Meron akong gustong-gusto na rubber shoes na naalala mo. Yung iniiyakan ko pa sa mall. Tapos parang nakatatlong balik.
Best talaga iniiyakan mo eh.
Oo, wala ma. Humiga ako ng 30 minutes din sa the store.
I got a bike from Santa Claus, and I was like, wow, there really is a Santa Claus. My dad could never afford it.
Show your most recent photo with your dad on your phone and tell us the story behind that photo. This is me and my dad. This is after I got my license. He's a boomer and I'm a Gen Z, so I have habits that I do, very expressive, if you will. So dad sometimes copies that, so dad goes, so I go, him teasing me like that bridges our, generation gap.
This is a couple of months ago. It was just a nice dinner by the beach. It was also our first, we haven't traveled in over 2 years at this point. So that was our first family trip.
Share your first inuman story with your dad. Ayan.
Inuman natin sa third floor. Tinanong ko si Papa, bakit si Mama yung pinili mo? Yun nga, loving, caring, tsaka talagang masikaso. Yun nga, tsaka napikot nga daw kasi siya.
My dad gets drunk on a fruitcake.
In our home, we used to host these
really big parties. Yeah. He'd observe us from afar and then he'd just be like,
It's like watching National Geographic.
Yeah.
It's just
we're the animals in the wild.
We love you.
Happy Father's Day.
Welcome back to Newsnight. Doggos roaming the streets of Iloilo can now be brought to a safe place, with the city opening its first dog pound and shelter. Mayor Jerry Treñas inaugurated the center in Mandurriao district earlier today. The city has a no-kill policy for rescued animals, which instead they will be neutered or spayed. Treñas says the animals, like people, are, quote, essential for the mental and emotional well-being of society. In the NBA Finals, the Golden State Warriors need one last win to take the crown after beating the Boston Celtics in Game 5 today, 104-94. Andrew Wiggins gave his best performance yet for the team, scoring 26 points on 52% shooting. The Warriors now have a 3-2 finals lead and will look to end the series on the sixth match, set for Friday, 9 a.m. Philippine time. Heading to Hollywood, we might just see Lady Gaga in the sequel of the Oscar-winning film Joker, possibly with the iconic role of Harley Quinn. American news outlet The Hollywood Reporter says the pop star is being considered for a role in Joker Folie à Deux opposite Joaquin Phoenix. Joker director Todd Phillips also produced Lady Gaga's critically acclaimed 2018 movie A Star is Born. And back here at home, Lainey makes it clear that it is ready to perform for more Filipino fans, scheduling 5 concerts in the Mall of Asia Arena in Pasay City. The pop rock band added a November 16 show, the 5th and final one, after tickets sold out for November 11 to 13 and the 15th. Passes will be sold beginning Thursday. And that is it for now. Join me again on News.ph at 7 p.m. and on Politics as usual at 8:30. I'm Pio Ontiveros. Before we go, the Energy Department has sought the help of distribution utilities like Meralco in its mission to manage energy use. These companies help implement programs that teach households to reduce the use of electricity. Let's watch this.
Why it's important to conserve energy, especially at this point in time. Number one is to manage the electricity bill at home. And second is to ensure that there is enough electricity for all. Alam naman natin na we need electricity in all facets of our lives, no? Especially in business, no? Now that we're recovering, we want the businesses to recover, the whole economy as a whole, no? The number one driver of our consumption right now is the effect of the summer heat in our consumption. March to June, at ang impact nito nasa bill natin ng April to July. Kasi kapag summer months, yung mga appliances natin, they work harder, no? Especially yung mga cooling equipment, no? Yung ating mga aircons and refrigerators. So, no-overwork yung kanilang mga compressor, no? At nagtatrabaho sila ng gusto para maramdaman natin na medyo malamig, no?
Yung gamit namin sa bahay, TV, we have the washing machine, aircon, electric fan, ref, and yung gamit ng mga bata, yung laptop na everyday talagang it's a need that they have to use that, yung laptop sa pag-aaral nila. Pre-pandemic, parang hindi kami masyadong conscious about sa paggamit ng kuryente. Pero nung time na naging pandemic na, and at the same time, mas marami yung family members inside the house, mas maraming gumagamit ng kuryente. So, naging conscious kami. So, nung naging aware kami doon na dapat magtipid tayo dahil ito yung nangyayari ngayon tapos tumagal pa yung pandemic. So, nagkaroon kami ng habit na ito dapat yung magiging galaw natin sa bahay para makatipid tayo.
Normally, on the average, nag-i-increase yung consumption of the different types of customers, no? From close to 10% to 40%. Kaya as early as March, medyo nagpapaalala na kami na ganito yung nangyayari kung hindi nyo kokontrolin, no? As some distribution utility, marami kaming programs. One is the Interruptible Load Program o tinatawag naming ILP, at yung aming peak-of-peak program.
With the guidance of the DOE, Department of Energy, and the Energy Regulatory Commission, Meralco introduced the ILP in its area in 2014. The ILP is a voluntary demand-side management program whereby we request large customers like business establishments to collectively reduce power drawn from the grid during periods of supply deficiency. And then the freed up power or available supply is reallocated to smaller customers like households, thereby sparing them from rotating brownouts.
Another program is the Peak-Off-Peak Solution, which is an energy pricing scheme that allows customers to pay lower generation costs during predefined off-peak hours.
We will continue our programs, no, especially in energy efficiency. We will continue to educate our customers. Yung energy efficiency cannot be done by Meralco alone, by DOE alone. So it takes all the stakeholders and most especially our customers.
Kini ang simbianan sa RPN, Radio Philippines Network, DXKS, DXKS, 1080, ang inyong Radio Ronda, 5,000 watts, nagsimbiya sa ikatulong andana sa UFCO Lim Building, Borromeo Street, Dakbayan sa Surigao. RPN, Radio Philippines Network, DXKS 1080, ang inyong Radio Ronda.
Thank you for watching New Day here on CNN Philippines. 4 days to go before the Filipino votes. This morning, we speak to two party list groups seeking congressional seats. First up, the Pilipinas para sa Pinoy, or PPP party list. And joining us live via Zoom is the group's first nominee, Mike Planas. Mike, good morning. Thank you for joining us here on New Day. Tell us a little bit about how it's going in the last stretch of the campaign period for PPP party list.
Hi, good morning, Leah, and to all the viewers of New Day. Good morning. This is PPP, Pilipinas para sa Pinoy, number 75 sa inyong mga balota. It's been tough, especially if you are lacking in resources. You have to remember, Leah, that PPP party list is one of those few, or if not the only party list that is not controlled by any politician, national or local, no? And that's why we really lack resources and nahihirapan kami. But I really trust naman the voters na it's about time that we promote the Filipino First policy. That's what PPP is all about. Na long forgotten na yan, no, Ria? Panahon pa ni Carlos P. Garcia nung huling natangkilik natin ang Filipino First Policy or unahin ng Pilipino na polisiya, no? And tayo here, we encourage that we support every Filipino in all their endeavors, no? Kahit anong sektor kagaling, ay kailangan ka magsuportahan, mabigyan ng sapat or karampatang programa para sa kanilang livelihood, kabuhayan, at kung ano pa man. At the same time, we want to empower all their skills, no? Lack of training kasi, kaya minsan nahihirapan din ang ating mga labor force. And at the same time, there must be technology transfer. And lastly, which is the most important, is we need to protect the rights of every Filipino.
All right. And when you say protect the rights of every Filipino, you're not just speaking about people within the workforce, like factory workers, or people in agriculture, like farmers. You're speaking also about basic human rights. Do I understand you right?
Yes. Basic human rights, the national patrimony, sovereignty, and of course, the Filipino itself. No? Kaya nga kami, I always encourage everyone. No? Everyone I speak to, I always tell them, focus on three things: love of God, of country, and of the Filipino. And with those three things, I don't think maliligaw pa tayo and in supporting this country and making this country a better place.
All right. So, Mike, tell us, if elected, what priority legislation would you be pushing, or what exactly would your programs look like?
Okay, Ria, you mentioned earlier about agriculture and our food production industry. No, when I was councilor of Quezon City before, I was the one who initiated the comprehensive land use plan, no, which is now in fact being used and passed in Congress to become the national land use plan. But this time, when I enter Congress once elected, we will focus on the comprehensive land use plan for agriculture, meaning all the crops na ang Pilipinas kasi is composed of so many islands, 7,000 plus, and different soil ang mga ano nito, and iba-iba ang livelihood, no? May mga dagat na madaling mangisda, merong mga lupang madaling tamnan ng ganitong crop, no? So we must have, together with Department of Agriculture and all our food scientists, no, food production scientists, we must come up with a comprehensive land use plan for agriculture so that ma-maximize natin lahat ng production natin all over the country from different crops.
All right. And what other programs will you also be pushing for, Mike, if elected to Congress?
There are other programs, no, like yung health natin, scholarships natin, you know, the typical necessary, but what's more important is enhancement, no? Enhancement of our labor force, no? Whether you're an online worker or a fisherman, as you have mentioned, dapat lahat mabigyan ng tools, no? Ang mga fishermen dapat mabigyan ng mga cold storage facility, ang mga farmers natin dapat mabigyan ng mga post-harvest facility, and so on and so forth. We need to enhance their skills. We need to retrain our labor force so that they become competitive here and abroad.
All right. Thank you so much for your time this morning. That was PPP Party List First Nominee Mike Planas.
SMC, San Miguel Corporation. Bisag unsang industriya ang sudlan niini, tinguha sa SMC ang pag-uswag o paglambo sa mga Pilipino. Karon, gikan sa SMC, aniya na ang SMC Davao Cement. SMC Davao Cement. Gama sa Davao para sa Mindanao. SMC Davao Cement. Ato ni Bay.
Protektahi ang imong mga mata batok sa delikado ug makadaot nga ultraviolet nga silaw sa adlaw ug uban pa. Pinaagi sa pagsulob og eksakto nga prescription sa antiyohos o antipara. Likay ang mga simptomas sama sa hanap nga pananaw sa layo o duol nga basahon, sakit sa ulo ug uban pa nga makaapekto sa atong kahimsog nga ang hinungdan depekto sa atong mga mata. Alang sa kumpleto nga primary eye care, contact lenses, fashion eyewear, computer eyeglasses, sunglasses, accessories ug uban pa, adto kita sa AG Buñuel Optical Clinic. Ang AG Buñuel Optical Clinic nagpahinumdum kanato nga ang kahimsog sa atong mga mata usa ka prioridad nga angay ipa-check up kausa matag tuig aron pagsiguro nga luwas kita sa piligrong mga sakit. Pinaagi sa lisensyado o qualified optometrists nga maoy mo prescribe sa eksaktong kagamitan o kung primary eye care ang paghisgutan. Duaw lang silang buhatan sa 3636 sa Nicolas Street, Surigao City ug adunay ilang extension office sa Aurelianida Street, Cantilan, Surigao del Sur. Ayaw kalimti higala, AG Buniel Optical Clinic.
Ang AG Buniel Optical Clinic doon na branch dito sa lungsod sa Dapa sa may Lupis Haina Street, Poblasyon Dapa, Surigao del Norte.
Ang AG Buniel Optical Clinic dinhi sa syudad ng Surigao no transfer na sa bag-ong location sa Nicolas Street Ragyahapon, tapad sa Garcia Hotel at bang sa Unicity.
Barkada, GSM Blue ang kasama. GSM Blue. Dahil ito ang GSM Blue. Drink responsibly. Ang Gen Pomelo, kuhang-kuha ng GSM Blue. Choose what's true and just chill and enjoy with GSM Blue. Drink responsibly.
Ang Riverside Parts Master Incorporated na sa ilang bagong location sa Dalan, Burgos, ning atong syudad. Mahimo niyong tawagan sa telephone number 231-7478 or 826-3663. Mga produkto nga inyong mapalit, genuine, Makita Power Tools sama sa planer, drill, grinder, Triton Paints, construction supplies, angle bars, flat bars, GI pipes, automotive spare parts, Firefly electrical devices sama sa switches, bulbs ug outlets. Adto ang Riverside Parts Master Incorporated sa ilang bagong pwesto sa Dalan, Burgos ning syudad. Makahangyo ka o makabarato pagyod diha sa Riverside Parts Master Incorporated.
Sipon plus baradong ilong na may kasamang pananakit ng ulo? Pre, ba't ka nagtitiis? Kung meron namang Calabo Premium Rub, Calabo Premium Rub, isang pahid lang, nanunuot ang sarap sa pakiramdam sa ulo, ilong at sarap sa may ginhawa. Tandaan, basta sipon na may kasamang sakit ng ulo at baradong ilong, magpahid lang ng Calabo Premium Rub. Mabisa, kaya sigurado. Gawa ng Jesser Marketing. Mabibili na ngayon sa mga butika. Ang kapinghot sa ilong nga imong giantos, hasol kaayo kini, hilabi na kung apilan ng pagsipon nga lisod tangtangon. Sulay higala ang gahom sa Calabo Premium Rub. Ipahid palibot sa imong ilong. Aron ang gahom sa Calabo Extract inubanan sa malunggay and virgin coconut oil manuhot-suhot kini. Calabo Premium Rub, ang sulbad sa pingot nga ilong. Calabo Premium Rub is a quality product of Jesser Marketing.
RPN Radio Philippines Network. Radyo Ronda DXKS Surigao. Member, kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas.
And we continue our conversations with party list groups running in the elections. This time, we focus on BH Bagong Henerasyon Party List, which aims to continue uplifting the lives of Filipinos through its public service programs. The group's first nominee, Deputy Speaker Bernadette Herrera, now joins us to tell us more. Good morning, Congresswoman. Thank you so much for being here. Now, we have just 4 days to go before Election Day, and we understand that you just had your meeting de avance yesterday. What else are your plans in the final stretch of the campaign period? For being here.
Well, good morning to everyone who's watching. Well, of course, we'll go around as much as we can and then rally our leaders to really vote on Monday. What we're instructing them is to really vote first hour on Monday, so that they have already exercised the right to vote, and then to encourage the youth, the new generation, the new voters to vote. So that's the direction that we're taking now, is to really gather all our supporters in order to make sure that they have to know their precinct numbers, their polling places, and all that, so that they're ready when they vote on Monday.
All right. Could you tell us a little bit about the BH Party List? You're known for producing legislation to uplift Filipinos' lives and providing social services to families. What would your priority legislation be if given another chance to serve in Congress?
Well, my priority legislation is hopefully the government can also help every time our people are hospitalized. During the pandemic, all public hospitals were full. So the constituents end up going to private hospitals. And that's the one direction that I want to focus on, in order that government can also help even in private hospitals. We've been doing this through an administrative order of DOH, but I want to make it into a law. At the same time, penalize government for having delayed payments to private hospitals, because that's very important. Private hospitals are already crying for help because PhilHealth has not been paying them. And I feel that we should encourage private hospitals to help our constituents, especially in times of need. And so yan yung isang focus that I want to look into, and more scholarships for college education. We have seen the effect of the free tuition fee in state colleges and state universities. 1.6 million of senior high school graduates are already in college. And that shows us that a lot of youth want to study. So we have to encourage more of that and give more opportunities for private colleges and private university scholarships. That's very important. And one of the bills that we weren't able to pass during the last Congress was the aid for Filipino families, because normally our assistance goes to household, and a lot of families were not able to receive these subsidies or help from government. But I would like to focus more on sustainable programs. Ayoko na po ng mga ayuda na pang isang araw lamang. It has to last for a lifetime. You have to teach them how to fish. But in Bagong Henerasyon, we always say we revolutionize the fishing industry. So you find ways on how they could create livelihood opportunities for themselves. And those are the things that I would like to focus on. And of course, the Water Regulatory Commission and the Department of Water are two pending bills of mine that I would like to refile when I go back to Congress.
Now, Congressman, as you've been saying, you focus on other sectors, that of women, youth, as well as micro, small, and medium enterprises. Perhaps you could tell us a little bit about the main challenges in these sectors right now. What are they facing, and how do you plan to address them?
Well, one of the things that's facing us is the review of the wage board. If you recall, a lot of workers are clamoring for increase in the minimum wage. But of course, it's going to be a balancing act on how you could maintain the businesses, the small businesses, to maintain their businesses if we adjust the minimum wage. So ito yung very critical in this coming legislation as to how we could manage to keep our small and medium enterprises afloat while helping our workers cope with increase in prices of fuel, of course, the implication of that is increase in prices of several commodities. So we have to find that perfect balance as to how we could encourage small and medium enterprises to really open up and to help our small and medium enterprises.
All right, lastly, Congresswoman, any other programs that you will be pushing if you return to Congress?
Well, like I mentioned, I would like to really push for private sector support in terms of private hospitals on how we could help our constituents for that one. And at the same time, I would like to really focus on the Department of Water and the Water Regulatory Commission. That's something that's hanging already for the past Congresses, and I'd like to make sure that it would be passed in Congress this 19th Congress.
All right. Thank you so much for your time this morning, ma'am. That was Deputy Speaker Bernadette Herrera of BH Bagong Henerasyon Party List.
SMC, San Miguel Corporation. Bisag unsang industriya ang sudlan niini, tinguha sa SMC ang pag-uswag o paglambo sa mga Pilipino. Karon, gikan sa SMC, aniya na ang SMC Davao Cement. SMC Davao Cement. Gama sa Davao, para sa Mindanao. SMC Davao Cement. Ato ni Bay.
Maayong balita sa tanan.